What is going on, everyone? How are we? Boom, 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 boom. 167 people in the chat already. Hello, Solomon King, 40th geography lover. Cars on the lawn. Yeah, that's one good one. Good evening. I find that neighborhood car. That is a valid point. Hey, Cheryl, how are you? Gene A, how are you? Alex? Yeah, I'm not Diamondbacks fan. You'll find me in Dodgers jerseys, White Sox, and Padres. Now, not really a Dodgers fan. I used to work at Nike, and you could get stuff like this for next to nothing. So that's how I got it. I did grow up in Los Angeles, though. And I'm only a White Sox fan because I love the story of the Black Sox and how they were the only team to, get caught throwing the World Series thing. Oklahoma, how are you, joys of the San Joaquin Valley? Brandon, how are you? We got 161 in here today. Don't forget to hit that like button, everyone. We're fighting a battle here at YouTube. Everyone hears me okay, right? No one said, Briggs, you suck, or I can't hear you. Nothing like that. Now, the Royals, no, actually, the Phillies. I love it when they wear their blue and their red uniform, that old school one they had. Oh, that was great uniform. Yeah, I grew up in Los Angeles. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. Joel, how are you? Let me save this real quick. I was working on. Boom and boom. There we go. All right, back to the action. What is everyone? We can hear you. Good, 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 good. Astros fan. Rachel Adams, how are you? So there was an issue the other day, or last time I did a live stream. I will not I will not catch all your comments, and I do apologize. I try and get to as many as I can, but as we start getting into this, we start getting more and more comments and more comments, and it just goes on and on and on. And I won't get to all of them. I try to, but I won't get to all of them. Don't get mad at me. Don't send me horrible emails. And one person actually claimed I was being racist by not answering her message. Unless you got a picture on there, I don't know what race you are, and most people don't have a picture on there. But I don't miss anyone's questions on purpose, unless you're being a jerk, and you're just asking questions be stupid. I'll ignore you. But if you're asking a legit question and I missed it, I apologize. My intent is not to ignore anyone unless you deserve to be ignored. If you just be a decent person, I'll never ignore you. Da, da, da. Daniel, how are you? Love your list. Thank you for the content. Thank you for watching. Let me add my last one here. And then we'll get back to the subject at hand. What are we talking about tonight, everyone? Well, we were talking about how the best ways you can tell if a neighborhood is bad. And you don't even have to go to visit these places to know this stuff. So let's get into that, and then we'll actually see who else is here. How many people? 174. Briggs Sanders, how are you? I've got an iconic voice. Thank you very much. I haven't heard iconic before. I've heard that I'm easy to listen to. I had one girl when I first started out, she left a comment on the video. She's all, and I never used to show my face or anything like that, but she's all, I love your voice. Do you need a girlfriend? I'm all, I don't. And I said, But keep in mind, I'm 50. She's, oh, I'm 21. Never mind. It's like, okay. Hey, David, how are you, buddy? The Chargers. You know, I don't get why the Chargers moved. I mean, it's money, obviously. The Chargers moved to LA and it was just stupid. LA for the longest time doesn't have a football team. Now they got two again. It's like feast or famine with these people. Why aren't condos considered starter homes? Um, so I think there's a lot that goes into it. I've never owned a condo, but my understanding is that with the HOA and all the other things, and the home is actually attached to other homes, banks are little less willing to get you a loan. Now, I've heard that. I don't know the background to it, but that's what a realtor was telling me one time. Especially if it's a starter home, and let's say you haven't built up the best credit and you don't have a long history of owning homes, stuff like that. Bill, how are you? Yep. Thoughts on Green Bay ranked as a top city to live? You know, Green Bay isn't that bad of a city. I wouldn't put it as one of the top ones. I would definitely put it as far as known cities. Let's call it known cities because it's really not that big. Of the known cities we have in this country that everyone knows, and pretty much the only reason everyone knows about Green Bay is because of the Packers. But I would say I would put them in the top 50 definitely out of let's say 200. Okay, so people ask me all this stuff all the time. We'll get into it, okay? Because I think we should have a theme for these live streams instead of just chatting all the time. So we'll get through this, then maybe we just chat afterwards. So people ask me all the time, how do I judge a neighborhood and stuff like that? And I tell them the stats or if I have experience there. And stats don't always tell the whole picture. So you have to look deeper than that. Now, it's best if you could drive there and look around, things like that, get to know people. Wonderful. That's the best way to research a town. Not everyone's going to do that. Now, if you're doing it from home or you're just going to drive through the place, these are some of the things I like to look at first of all. Obviously, look at the stats first. Once you get the stats, the first thing I look at is the yard maintenance. If you've got a bunch of people that aren't taking care of their lawn, it's a problem. Um, Poor lawn maintenance, cars broken down in the front, things of that nature, weeds going everywhere, trees that are overgrown. If you see too much of that in any town, that's a that's a warning sign. There's a warning sign something's going on. Now, every neighborhood can have one or two. That's not a big deal. You're going to have some older people that maybe, they're a widower or something like that and they have no one. They just don't keep up the lawn like they should. Now, that happens occasionally. But when you start going down a street and you look at both sides of a block, you look left and right and you see like out of 12 houses on this side and 12 on that side, 24 houses. If you see like 8 of them are just overgrown and trashy and the rest are kind of there's something going on in this neighborhood. There's not enough jobs. There's not enough well-paying jobs. You could tell right away. Or they've got too many renters, and renters come with another problem. If you got too many renters, they don't care about the property. They don't care about the neighborhood. They're going to be there a couple of years, then they get the hell out of there in most cases. So that's usually what is that? Oh, I forgot. If I give these hand signals, these little things pop up. I don't know if you guys can see them, but they pop up. Anyway, so that's the first thing I look for. Poor yard maintenance. Yeah, a place like Kensington, you don't have to do much research by looking at a picture of the place. Well, thanks, Bill. Only I think actually there's a way I can flip it so the screen is that's right. Okay, so it's weird. Thank you. There's another thing about front of people's houses. If let's say there's plenty of street parking, but nobody parks on the street, that's usually a sign there's a lot of crime going on. Car break-ins, things like that. If you go to certain places in like Detroit that are it's getting better, but you won't find many cars parked on the street. They park them behind a fence in their backyard in their garage if they can, because they know it's going to get broken into. So that's a good sign. Now, Detroit isn't horrible everywhere. There are some places that are coming back a little bit, but still, you got a bunch of shady people in shady neighborhoods. So you got to do what you got to do. Hey, we got one of these. Let's get rid of this thing real quick. Sorry, I will be with you in a second. All right. Thanks for the super chat. I really appreciate it, Michael. Hey, Briggs, going back to Japan this February. Graduated from college in December. Thanks to GI Bill. Always a winner there. Hope you have a good beginning of your new year. I hope you have a safe trip back, and congratulations on getting out of school. That GI Bill does come in handy. I don't know if you were in combat arms. I don't know if they still have that now. We used to get the GI Bill, and we got like 15,000 towards called the college fund. I think it was 25, and that was nice. So I get the GI Bill, and then had like 25,000 to pay for classes and books. It was great. But congratulations on that. Congratulations on that graduation. Now here's the next one. But thank you again for supporting the channel. Bad streets. What does the street maintenance look like? Is it a nightmare? Are the sidewalks busted up? Are there potholes everywhere? This is another one you want to look at. Look at how often the streets have been painted, the lines, the crosswalks, things like that. If there is none of that going on, everything looks faded and potholes everywhere, that means the city's in trouble. Okay. Or the city is focusing on other neighborhoods and they've kind of given up on your neighborhood. I've seen that a lot in different cities. You'll go to one part of it. Can't think of the city offhand. I saw this recently too. I was in Texas. Anyway, so one side of the town was painted, everything was fixed. Then the other side, it was just a little not like they hadn't painted street signs or anything on the cement or pavement, asphalt in probably a decade. It was obvious. That's usually a sign that they're just not taking care of it. They don't have the money. The city doesn't have the money. That means they've got other problems. Bad streets is a big, big warning sign. Tennessee. Hello from Fresno. Manhattan Beach or Manhattan? Hey, Briggs, how do you judge a neighborhood in Manhattan? You don't. You take what you can get. It's too expensive. Bars on the windows are a big thing too. You know what's funny is we've got a couple neighborhoods in Los Angeles that didn't used to be great, but they still have the bars on the window. I mean, they've gotten much better, and they're neighborhoods now that really don't deserve to have bars on the windows, but they still do from when they were put in there in the 80s and 90s. But it's still a good sign that this place had some problems or has problems. Going on a trip to Tennessee soon. Nashville's great. I, go to Beale Street in Memphis. Don't go anywhere else. Um, don't shy away from Chattanooga. It's a nice little town to see if you're in that area. I don't know if lots of kids on bicycles is a bad sign. I actually consider it a good sign, meaning the kids feel safe enough to get out and be around. Now if it's a bunch of teenagers on bicycles with tattoos, stay away from them. Briggs, I like the video you did on Oklahoma, but don't send a tornado out. Yeah, really. You sent me to you sent me to Oklahoma, and the tornado came by and took my house. Abandoned businesses in the neighborhood, that's obviously another sign. That's a thing you'll get in some of the really rundown areas. I mean, it's obvious when you get there, but when you start seeing not just overgrown lawns, but like you go to Detroit, you go to places in East St. Louis, where there's just house, vacant lot, house, vacant lot. You know, when they're tearing down every other house in a neighborhood, it's not worth moving there. Interesting story. And in East St. Louis, there's signs in certain areas, no police support past this point. How fun is that? I don't know about that. Cameras at self checkout. I the my God, what do we have up here? I want to say Dick's Sporting Good. Fred Meyer's up here. Um, I live in a relatively nice neighborhood. They got those cameras on theirs. Speaking of gold tooth, we go to the dentist before my cruise. So years ago, I got hit in the jaw with a rifle when I was in the army. Screwed up my whole jaw. And then I had a tooth, and my son squeezed my head when we were wrestling, doing jujitsu, broke my tooth. Got it fixed, and then it came out again. Mm, bums me out. It's like the third time it's come out. Now I just made myself subconscious of it or conscious of it again. I'm sitting here like this the rest of the time I'm talking to you guys. I know. I'll just look like you like this for now on. Oh, I think I missed something. If I happen to miss anything like super chat or anything, guys, please let me know. Sometimes I get talking and I don't look at the screen and then I look like an a-hole. Got Michael. So I've had several people. So my last video, I talked about how much bail money is for punching a clown. Yeah, that happens. That happened. I don't know, 22, 23, and we were at a carnival, me and some friends, and one of the girls we were with. There was a guy dressed like a clown, and decided to grope the girl we were with, and I got arrested, but I was let go. Come to find out, that clown, he wasn't even part of the carnival. He was just a dude there dressed like a clown. Who does that? Who goes who goes home, dresses like a clown, comes to a place, and then starts groping girls? Oh, Pahrump, Nevada. Thank you so much. Did a couple comedy shows up in Pahrump back in the day. Tired, not moving ever. That's how my wife says. There's things I want to do to my house. You know, I often think about moving away, but I think we're going to be here, or at least keep this house with my kids or something like that. And my neighbor, who's a nice guy, I might want to do this to the house. He goes, "You'll never get your money out of it for this house." I don't plan on it. I'm going to die in this house, or my kids are going to have it when I leave. Yeah, that's a good point. Neighborhoods with random clowns, avoid. Yes, Bill Cosby is true. Bill, what part of Southern California in? What made you first interested in geography? You know, I think it was so. My biological father and the father that raised me come from two different parts of the country, and so I had family in New York and in the South. So when I was younger, I talked to them and it was just a different way of life than I had growing up in California. And that's the first time I noticed the difference. And it was really the social geography. And then as time went on, I just started falling in love with small towns in the United States and starting to learn about it. I mean, way back. I think I got a book when I was like 9 that just had all the facts about the states. And I remember that's like one of those books I'd always have it like a reference just for no reason. If I was bored, I start reading things about states. And it was, it was kids' book, pictures and stuff like that. But man, I read that more than just about anything I've ever read in my life, I think. Another one about interesting facts about presidents. That one was cool. Oh, Ontario. Oh, yeah, Ontario. I remember the Ontario Motor Speedway. That's how old I am. We're recording Briggs. Would you say Lake Havasu City is a good place to live when people get out of the military? I would say so. Let me see something. I don't know. I do know a lot of military and a lot of retired cops end up there. So, and usually retired cops are also veterans. So there's got to be something drawing them out there. I'm just wondering where the nearest base is because if you retire from the military, you try and retire someplace near a military base so you can, go there for all your medical and stuff like that. It's got to be something around there. I know a lot of them do that. Go, what? Okay. Joshua Tree. I don't think there's anything really out there. Got to be something. Oh, it's probably they go into Vegas, and I believe there's something out in Bullhead City or near there. I could be wrong. Anyway, yeah, I would say so. It's affordable. You got the river there. If you retired and you're gonna have a lot of leisure time, Lake Havasu City is a good place to live. I know a lot of people love it there. I mean, not just the people that retire there, but I know a lot of people that just they spend as much time as there as they can over the years. Thank you for the question. How much how much social geography did I learn serving the military? A lot. I learned a lot about people from different parts of the country. Definitely. And I'm very it's because I want to know, not because I want in your information, but I would always ask people. I'm that guy that asks you about everything, where you're from, all that. I've been that way my whole life. And I'm sure some people it was a little weird, annoying, but most people knew me, so they expected it from me. Your husband's in the military? Sweet. What was he in? Recycle their trash. So, I talked to Nick Johnson about doing a live stream. I don't think he was up for a live stream. He doesn't mind doing the podcast. I think once things slow down, we're in the new year, he's going to do another one. I'm actually recording a podcast. I was supposed to do it Thursday, but I was sick with Geography King. So he'll be coming out next week. We're going to do it Monday, I think. Also, we're going to have another guest, I hope, on Monday. I'm going to record, then put it out the next week. Nellis Air Force Base is out in Vegas. Corporal, huh? All right, here's the next one on my list of things you need to know before you move into place. Now, this is an interesting one. These are some of the ones you guys probably didn't think about. City council meetings. Watch some of their city council meetings. If they're acting like total idiots and the city council hates themselves and you got angry residents, there's something going on in that town. And city council meetings are always up on YouTube. So you could look up whatever city you're going to, watch some of their city council meetings and see how people are acting there. If people are yelling at the city council and the mayor all the time, it's a bad sign. Now, keep one thing in mind. That's kind of a trend and it's how people get attention these days. they go to city council meetings and they pitch a fit over stuff that's totally not really a big deal. They know they can get on the internet doing that. We'll get to more of that in a minute. But if they're got legitimate problems and you got a bunch of people there complaining about something, listen to what they're saying. And you can learn a lot about a city just by watching a city council meeting. Kid you not, especially if it's a smaller city. If it's Los Angeles City Council, don't bother. If it's, I don't know, Lake Havasu City, pay attention to what they're saying. What is my most and least favorite West Coast small city? One of my favorites is probably Cannon Beach, Oregon. There's a couple other ones, but I really like Cannon Beach. Um, don't like I don't like Barstow, but if we're talking on the coast, not just I'm not a fan of Newport Beach. Never have been. I don't think she shows up in these things. There's actually two of them. I found out today. There used to be another one, and she actually reached out to me looking for. Looking to move out of Los Angeles, and yeah. Hi, Briggs. My family at one point to Anchorage. The one thing we did, we subscribed to this newspaper and read the news events. Yeah, charted where problems. It's good. Another good way to do it. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. Why is land so expensive in Oregon? So things don't get expensive if they're not popular. Oregon was very popular for a long time. It's got its problems, more than its fair share right now. But Oregon has been a great place to live for many, many years. Portland is a nightmare. Most of Oregon is a great place to live. So that's all it is. It became very popular and it was popular and affordable. So a lot of people moved in here, which raises the prices. Cheers from Boston. How are you? I know, I mean, I know Myrtle Beach. I've been there a few times. I don't know the surrounding area too much. I keep meaning to do that one. I want to do that cities on the rebound. Haven't got to that one yet. I got to watch what I say too about city videos I'm thinking about doing. There's two or three channels that they're probably on here right now. As soon as I say I'm going to do a video or I'm working on a video, 2 days after the live stream, they put up that video. Classy. That's the truth. California is a great state, depending on where you go. It's got a bunch of problems too right now, but people are still moving there. It's shrinking a little bit for the first time in its history, but still, they lose. I don't know the exact numbers offhand, but let's say they lose 5,000 people move out of the state in one day. That same day, 4,500 move in. So it's not like 5,000 are leaving and no one's replacing them at all. Just not as they're not being fully replaced is their problem. They haven't been back to Boston. It's 2000. Unfortunate. Oh, I like Boston. Just saw something about Newport Beach and I lost the question. Sorry. Maybe if I see it here. Oh, here we go. What's the deal with Newport Beach? I've never been to California. I grew up in a beach city a little north of that. And I would say my city isn't as wealthy as the Newport Beach area was. And it's just every time I met people from Newport Beach, they were kind of a-holes. I mean, from the surfers to the girls to the adults. I always picked up that vibe. They're snobbish. And I mean, maybe that has something to do with I come from a beach neighborhood that isn't as wealthy as theirs, something like that. Maybe there's some of that. And I've been programmed to think that way about them. Who knows? But I've never really liked Newport. Now, Dana Point, I've been there many times and they all seem nice and they're right next to each other just about. Um, I don't even know who that is. I don't even follow the Dodgers at all. I was just saying I work at Nike and I get stuff like this all the time. Or I used to work at Nike. And at one of the sales that we have, this was probably $3. I'm a White Sox fan somewhat, and I like to watch the Padres. I grew up in Los Angeles, but I think I've been to maybe 5 Dodger games in my life. Clint Jorgensen, I am from Redondo Beach. I'm from Redondo Beach, yeah. Not Redondo Beach and Torrance, actually. When I was born, my parents lived in Redondo, and then I think I was 7th grade when we moved to Torrance, right there by the border. I went to West Torrance High School, and my house is, I don't know, quarter of a mile away from the Redondo Beach border. So I lived there close. Then when I got out of the army, we got a house. We were down in Redondo, right by the pier. It's one of those things. It's like here in Oregon, you have Beaverton, where I live, Beaverton, Aloha, and Hillsboro. They're kind of the same thing. People, everyone here has eventually lived in one of them. Agreed. Okay, so my next thing. So we've talked about, oops, wrong one. There we go. So we talked about how you watch the streets. How are the streets? What do the yards look like? City council meetings. The next one is school board meetings, just like the city council meetings. Watch the school board meetings. Now, this one does come with a little bit of an explanation on it. Um, hold on one second. Uh, there's a new trend where people go to city council meetings to throw fits, and they're just doing it for the attention. They know they can get. They're recording it themselves, and they're putting it on their TikTok. They're putting it on their YouTube channels. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. Half the people are there are just doing it for the attention and the clicks. Okay. And what sucks is these poor school board members got to deal with this garbage. Um, but still look at the reasonable people that are on there and they're not holding a camera while they're talking to the at the school board meeting, and you could learn a lot about what's going on with the school district. Now, if you have kids, this is extra important. See what the issues are with the school district. Also, another thing is see how often members of the school board are overturning. How often, what's the churn on them? How often are they leaving? That's a bad sign if they're going all the time. Yeah, and it sucks that the school board meetings they become this thing now, and it doesn't have as much to do with what's going on in the school and the kids. It's just this new thing that people want to get attention with. There's these things where guys go out and they film like a post office, and then they see if the police will come and tell them to leave, which the police can't. You could film a post office all you want. You could film into a building all you want. You could film into a police uh parking lot all you want. They can't stop you from doing it. It's one of your rights. A lot of police don't understand that. So they do these, they're called auditors. There's some of them out there that do it really, really respectful and they're decent about it. And they're getting their channel blown up and they're not being total jerks. Then you have some that are just trying to push people's buttons, even though the person just asked a simple question. They start antagonizing them till it turns into an issue. I can't stand those people. Well, that's kind of what's going on at these school board meetings. You have some people that are going there to ask questions, then you have some people that are just going there to cause a problem, and it's BS. I've not been to Twin Peaks, Washington. I do want to go there though. Hey, Scott, how are you? Briggs, originally from South OC, moved to Austin in 2021. My wife and I moved to Palestine. Oh, wow. Last month. We're still blown away by how beautiful this area is. Texas will sneak up on you. Most people just, if you don't know Texas, you're just going to expect that it's this dusty place with small trees. But you go to certain areas and it's pretty nice, especially the hill country. I like the hill country. Oxnard's nice. Ventura's nice. I like a little Santa Barbara a little bit better. Yeah, First Amendment auditors. And some of them, like Long Island Audit, does a great job. There's just some of them out there that they're just there to antagonize people. And that's all they're trying to do. There's this father and son that go out and do it all the time. And they're too confrontational. And they're trying to create a problem. And I realize who it is and I got to turn it off. Hayden Iverson, fun one for you. If you had to pick one state, thank you for supporting the channel, by the way. If you had to pick one state to live in each region of the U.S., what would it be? Northeast, Midwest, South, Mountain, West, etc. Okay, so let's go to the Pacific Northwest. I'd live in Oregon before any other one. I just like Oregon. It's a little more laid back. I might even I'd live in Oregon before Washington. But if I didn't have friends and family here, I'd probably move to Washington. So let's say it's Washington. I'd live in Washington because it's beautiful. It's my type of place, rain, great weather, and they don't have a state income tax. That kind of sells me on it. So Washington's for the Pacific Northwest. If you go down to the West, which would be California, Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico, maybe even Utah, they're kind of part of the mountain. But anyway, I would pick California. There's just more stuff to do. The other states, they're just not my cup of tea. But if I was looking to save money, definitely New Mexico. Now, when you get up the mountain, where you go to Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and let's say Utah, I would probably live in Wyoming, not Jackson. I would find another place. Wyoming's just a little more laid back. It's a little more affordable than the other ones. And the terrain's a little bit, it's not as deserty. And Colorado's too expensive. Montana's getting up there. Wyoming just seems to be the nice place for me. If it was going to be the South, I would probably live in the low country of South Carolina, which is Bluffton or Charleston. I like that. It's a good area. Midwest is a tough one. I'll leave upper Midwest alone, but let's say the Midwest, it wouldn't matter to me. Nebraska, Kansas, and Iowa, Missouri, they're all the same type of place to me. Probably Iowa. I think it's a little bit cheaper. Their cities are a little bit bigger. If you go to the upper Midwest, I'd probably stay with Wisconsin. Wisconsin's nicer, in my opinion, as far as landscapes go. They really don't have much crime outside of Milwaukee. And the people are great in Wisconsin. I love them. Now, if you go to the Northeast, Pennsylvania all the way. I love Pennsylvania. I have property there. Love Pennsylvania. If I was going to go to New England, I'd probably pick Maine. A lot of coastline, a lot of things to do. Or Vermont. Yeah, I'd go with Maine. The coastline wins me on that one. The Mid-Atlantic, that's a rough one. I'd probably go with Virginia. Somewhere near the Chesapeake Bay. Good question. Thanks for supporting the channel. I really appreciate that. What's my take on Delaware? Outside Wilmington, it's a great state. Wilmington has gotten better. I gotta admit that. In the last 3 years, their crime rate's gone down considerably. Their violent crime rate's kind of held steady, but their normal crime rate has dropped. I mean, kind of drastically. So that's good. Sorry, I'm missing a bunch of questions by answering that, guys. Sorry, I apologize. Yeah, Jackson is expensive these days. Morgantown, I've been through Morgantown once, and I don't even think I was there 4 hours. Man, not even two, probably. Hey, Renee, how are you? I haven't seen you in such a seen you leave anything in a long time. How have you been? I was just thinking about you the other day. I like North Carolina. It's very popular with a lot of people. Myself, I just like South Carolina a little bit more. Looking for a nice fishing state. Ooh, I think places like obviously Montana, Wyoming, you're going to get some great fly fishing. Idaho's a sleeper there. Oregon, a lot of people do fishing in Oregon. If you want to see some of that, go to Herman's Outdoors. A friend of mine, he has a channel, fishing channel, does really great. He's been putting a GoPro and live streaming from a crab pot off the coast of Oregon. It's been pretty interesting. But I think one that people don't really pay attention to is Pennsylvania. They have too many lakes, too many rivers, too many creeks, plenty of fishing there. I think it's overlooked. Boom, boom, boom. Don't forget to hit that like button, guys, by the way. What is Maritime Province? Is that what they call them up there? New Brunswick. I think, in my opinion, if I was going to live in Canada, it would have to be on in British Columbia. I just like the mountains too much. Um, but there's places around Toronto and Montreal, Ottawa that I really like. Gets a little too French past it gets a little too French past Montreal for my taste, but not like that's a bad thing. It's just it's a different lifestyle. But yeah, if I could live on Vancouver Island, maybe Victoria, something like that, I'd live there. Okay, let's get rid of the school board meeting. Sign, and I got one more. And this is probably one of the most important things you have when you're, doing your research and you're not looking at the stats. Things you look at, boom, what kind of stores they got? Do they have a bunch of liquor stores like those no name brand liquor stores just on the corner? They're a liquor store. If they have too many of those, that's a bad sign. Um, Gun stores, if they have too many gun stores, that's a bad sign. There's nothing wrong with guns, but if there's just too many in a neighborhood, there's a reason for it. And usually the reason is they're so desperate to get money from anyone, they will just let whoever open up a shop in in their city. I have tattoos and I don't have anything wrong with tattoos, but normally a lot of places don't like to have a lot of tattoo places. But if you start seeing them in that part of the neighborhood, there's usually a reason for it. They're hurting for money, so they'll let anyone in. Um, the other one is this is a big one that a lot of people don't think payday and check cashing places, payday loans. If you see too many of those in any part of a town, run. Everyone there is broke. If they have more than one, I've seen neighborhoods where it's a small neighborhood and there's like six of those places, and that's not a good sign. It means everyone's broke, and if everyone's broke in your neighborhood, your stuff is not safe. You might be safe, don't park your car on the street and don't leave anything inside your car. People that don't have money, people that are desperate for money, even if they're good people, sometimes they do desperate stuff, and it's too bad. But yeah, what kind of stores do they have in a place is a big one. Pawn shops, another good one. Vape shops, yeah, those are getting catching on. McMuffin is great. I was just down there a little while ago with her. When I was at Fort Ord, we had one of these. I don't know. They sold furniture and they'd give credit to anyone, and they'd done some shady stuff. And they were like, you know, just blasting people's credit report because they'd gotten deployed. Well, if you're signing up with the military, there's paperwork that you have to be aware of that if they get deployed, anything they owe you just gets frozen. You don't get to keep collecting things. You don't get to keep collecting. Uh, what's the word I'm looking for? The interest doesn't keep going up. There's just laws against that. Well, this company was ignoring that, and they were doing all kinds of horrible things. The general of Fort Ord sent, I don't know, an aide or something down to this company to talk to them and tell them, hey, you can't keep doing this to soldiers, da 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 da. And they're all, we can do whatever we want. We're not on the military base. And they basically told him to pound sand. The general of Fort Ord that was running the place put them off limits. No soldiers, no dependents could do business with this place, which in the military, he has 100% right to do that. And he did. They were out of business in a month. So yeah, I don't know why I went on that tangent, but there was pawn shops that were off limits too at Fort Ord. That's what got me going on it. Yeah, motels are usually if they have too many rundown motels. That's every town's gonna have one or two or three, but when you got a whole street that's got like eight of them, there's this place in Los Angeles where there's like six of the most gross motels, and it's just nasty. And you can buy some hourly company out in front of most of them, but these things are just horrible. And there's like six of them right next to each other. They must be owned by the same guy. And it's like I would never stay there. Interesting story. I'll get his name one second. Next generation. Gotta find this guy's name. Okay. So I think it was him. So Jonathan Franks, who was in Star Trek The Next Generation, when he got the call for that part, he was a struggling actor in Hollywood and he was down to his last couple bucks. He had been living in one of those motels I was just talking about for like 4 months. And I mean, it's like there's nothing but drug use and prostitutes, but that's all he could afford. It was either that or the streets. That's how broke he was. And while he was living there one day and had nothing to eat, he got the call that he got the part for Star Trek, changed his life. The only reason I bring that up is because he showed the motel where he was living. And I was like, oh my God, that's right across the street from my old work. Wait, they gave you an ad? I'm supposed to get ads? You're supposed to get an ad at the beginning, not in the middle. I just missed a bunch of things. Let me know if I missed anything major. Payday loan. Payday loans are usually a bad sign. Mm. I don't know if I did a setting wrong, but you're only supposed to get one at the beginning. Hourly companionship, not companies. Too many fast food restaurants are gonna dead strategist? I don't even know what that means. Yeah. Well, what's sad is, and it's not just the town's going bad, but so much of our things we buy are bought online. A lot of these main streets throughout the country are just, it's like every other shop is empty. YouTube does what YouTube does. Helicopters flying night, yeah, that's another thing. Well, thanks for watching. The Amish. I think it's hard to be a dead state, but Mississippi's been sucking wind for a very long time. Well, thanks, Aussie Fly Girl. Too many homeless camps. Yeah, it's not a business, but it's something you should look out for too. I mean, that's usually a red flag. You don't have to look much further. When you see too much of that, these days everyone's got a little homeless someplace. It doesn't matter if you're a small town. My friend just moved out to the Dalles here in Oregon. It's a small town on the Columbia River, and there's a handful of homeless people living there. And it's everywhere. I was in Dallas and Irving. I saw a bunch of homeless people. Everyone talks about how there's nothing but homeless people in Oregon and California. Well, every state's got them. Every major city has them. It's too bad. No, not even close. Best city to panhandle. Dover. I get upset whenever I hear about thinking about Dover. Told you guys before. That's where if you get killed overseas in the military, they bring you through Dover. Um, yeah, that's every time I think about it, I think about friends that I've lost. Because Alabama sucks. I'm watching from Guam. 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 I'm sure I told this before. I brought it up on my on this day channel, but I always found it interesting. I've always just read about World War II. I know a bunch about World War II. I had no idea about the same time the Japanese were attacking Pearl Harbor, they were attacking Guam. I didn't know. I thought it was later, months later. It was like the same day. You have a question. All right, let's hear it. Sir, I have a question. My dad lives in Reading, Pennsylvania. Okay. And my sister lives in Canada. There's a city that is super near, at low cost, decent enough to live in. Oh, let me look. I don't know offhand. Reading, Reading. Oh, wow. Okay. So, well, you're out. That's out by Harrisburg. Ah, wow. You know, actually, Fredericksburg is the midway point. Fredericksburg, it's a small town. I don't know if you've ever seen Fredericksburg. It's pretty small. Which let me see what the nope, that's not what I'm looking for. Mm-mm-mm. I'm sorry, not Fred. Oh, well, it is Fred. Fred or Fredericks. Huh. Now I'm curious. Curious. You know what? You got Fredericksburg right now. They have homes that are going for $100,000. Or they're not the best, but the area. Yeah, there's property and houses out that area that are under 200,000 all over the place. When it's under 200,000, it's like, why not just buy instead of rent? They're all relatively safe. Yeah, you can grab anything there along the 22. Let me see here something. Bethel, small town. If you don't mind small town living, they got a couple really good ones out here. And actually, if you work in logistics, wow, look at this. So there's these big Dollar General distribution, PetSmart the distribution, Mars Pet Care, all these distribution centers, and there's a little town right across the road from it called Bethel. Obviously people are coming in from, I would say, Harrisburg and stuff, but that might be worth looking into. Look at Bethel or Strausstown. They're little places, but they're affordable. That's what I would do. I don't know enough about Crosby, Texas without really looking into it. Japanese. Japanese. Hey, yep, 12/8. Same day as Pearl Harbor. 7/21. We celebrate Liberation Day every year. Yep. Didn't the was it the Marines showed up there? Yeah, I think it was the Marines showed up there. Yeah, the Marines showed up there to chase them out about the same time the Army showed up in the Aleutian Islands to chase them out of there. Well, not same time, but within months. Actually, it was August that they showed the Aleutian Islands of 43. So a few months earlier, almost a year. All right, let me see if I can catch up on some of these questions, guys. Hello, Briggs. In a recent video, you listed Des Moines as the fourth best city for Generation Z. What do you think of Omaha or Sioux Falls as a city for G? I don't know. Um, for that video, we were mostly going on the rate they're moving there and the percentage of the population. Sioux Falls not good because that's 19% of the population. So that's an older place. Sioux Falls has a very old population. So that wouldn't be a good one. Omaha? Omaha might work, but Omaha really they don't have a so this is the thing. When you're talking about Gen Z and you're talking about millennials, a majority of them work in some form of tech. That's just the facts, or something that they need to know a good amount of tech about. So companies that are heavy in tech, they usually draw in a lot of millennials and Gen Z. You don't have much of that in Omaha. Omaha's not a bad place to live. They just don't have it. So yeah, definitely wouldn't put them on the list. All right, let's see if we can get back down here. Problem with buying my any God places in Puerto Rico? I mean, depends on what God you're praying to. How do you find time to go to so many places? Do you travel solo? You're amazing. Well, thank you. Well, one, this is what I do for a living, so I don't have another job or anything like that. So that really helps. A lot of the travel I've done over the years was actually done before I started the channel. I had no intention. I have a lot of still photos of things I went, but I wasn't videotaping anything. I was just going to experience these places and taking pictures. Um, but yeah, I am fortunate enough to go travel. Matter of fact, I'm leaving in 3 days again. Nick's knocking it out of the park with travel now. That guy jumps on the road and just drives to different cities for 2 months at a time right now. It depends on what you're looking for as far as Denver suburbs go. Um, myself, I kind of like Aurora, tell you the truth. That's kind of nice, but I guess it's outside. I really like Boulder. It's outside of the metro area. It's kind of its own metro area. It's sort of in there, I guess. But Boulder, I definitely like Boulder. Yeah, secondhand store is usually a bad sign too. All right, Briggs, love you, dude. Did you mention tiny homes? My brother in laws are tiny home business across the river. Tiny home business. Yeah, email me their information. Um, it is something I want to more information on, and something I might do in the future is a tiny home. Not to actually live in. I want to turn one into an office, a recording booth. Older Morgan Minnie, you're right. Drew Binsky's channel I have. Drew Binsky put some mileage on too. Yeah, I think he's that guy cracks me up. Do I think it should be a state? I think it should be, but it's in the Constitution. It can't be. So I hope that helped. There's a lot out there, and I would need more time to look at it. But along that route, along the 22, there's plenty of good places to go, and it looks like they got some jobs out there too. Which trip? Going on another one next week. It was in October. God, I've been so many places already in the last 3 months. Then when I get back from that, I think I'm gonna take a train trip. Um, that'll be probably in February. Got a couple other trips. I'm going to Texas, going to Galveston, then down to Honduras. Then I'm going to Belize, and then Mexico. I think Rochester has a better chance to turn things around than Buffalo. Buffalo will eventually. I think Rochester will first. It's actually where a lot of my family lives. Yep, that's usually a good sign. I love Asheville myself. It's getting a little blown out. Too many people going there, but I still like Asheville, North Carolina. Marina Del Rey, I'd say no. It's too expensive, too crowded, and too much garbage goes on right there. I'm glad that cup was not filled with something. Oh, I'd love living. Well, it's too hot. I've been to Honduras quite a few times, spent a lot of time down there. It's just too hot. I don't like it anymore. I mean, it was fun when I was in my 20s, but I get all my demographic data from the US Census Bureau. There's other websites that'll give you the information, but in my experience, it's usually a little off. So I go straight to the source, the main source. Did you know the US Census actually tracks populations from other countries? They need more high speed rail. I'm a firm believer of that. Oddly enough, there's a lot of places in Washington that don't have overpriced land. I mean, for you know, a town on the coast, it's definitely affordable compared to any town on the coast in California. Depends on where you want to move to. There's a lot of good warm climate places. I think if you're looking to save some money, you want to move to a warmer climate, look at New Mexico. New Mexico's had some problems. They're cleaning up a little bit. Um, but New Mexico, I think in the next few years is going to be a good place to live. Santa Fe is beautiful. I love Santa Fe. Such good architecture there. It's amazing. Where is the cheapest area here in states to buy a good size home? The cheapest, absolute cheapest, is going to be Mississippi. Alabama's pretty cheap too, but I would look at Mississippi. If you're looking for just cheap, Mississippi. Arkansas runs a close second. West Virginia is actually before Arkansas. So it goes Mississippi, West Virginia, Arkansas. The Dallas Fort Worth area is a great place. Look at Frisco, look at Plano, and look at Irving. Great places in the Dallas metro area to live, especially if you're a young professional. I spent a week, or well, 5 days in Irving in October. It was great. Yeah, termites are a big deal in the South. Keep that in mind. Ooh, to see the pyramids. Nice. Yep. Ooh, Pismo Beach. Pismo Beach, I probably talked to you guys about it, but when we were kids, we owned dune buggies, motorcycles, and stuff like that. We go on trips every summer, a couple of them. And that was my favorite trip. Pismo Beach. We used to go all the time, like 4 years in a row, and then we just quit going. And I always wanted to go back. We never did. Yeah, Frisco is a little more expensive. My aunt sold her house in Tulare, California, and she moved to Oklahoma, and I think it was like 30% the price of her home she sold. She got a nicer one in Oklahoma. Buenos Aires, Lake Worth, Florida. If you want to go to a place with winter and summer, Oregon, Washington, Colorado is a good one. Um, Wisconsin is great. Michigan, for all its problems, stay out of Flint. Detroit has great summers. Mosquitoes are everywhere, and they have brutal winters. You're going to get all the seasons in Michigan. Yeah, Pismo is expensive. Gallup, New Mexico. Gallup is an interesting place. I know a guy met his wife at a truck stop in Tucumcari, New Mexico. She was working behind the counter at the truck stop. It's funny. He was probably 27. I think she was 18. Um, God, now he's like 55 and they're still together. Little bit, little bit of an age gap. I think he might have been a little older than that. I think he was pressing 30 when he met her. It's just the amount of people moving there, the tech jobs. It's pretty much all it was. The amount of Gen Z millennials living in Houston is much higher than Dallas Fort Worth area. Las Colinas. That's where I was. I was at the convention center. Um, I have not done one about all four seasons. It's something I've always wanted to do, but I think it'll be interesting. It just won't get the views, but I still want to do it. So I have videos that I know will get views, but I can't just do those videos all the time because then I'll get to a point where I have 2 months of not so good videos, and then things will just fall apart. Um, but yeah, so that's one I want to do, and I've never got around to it. So this is what sucks about being a YouTuber. You have to balance what videos you put out because if I put too many negative ones out, negative ones always get views. But if I put too many of them out, everyone just kind of gets tired of them and my views start to drop. But if I don't put enough of them, my views start to drop. So you got to find that balance. And I mean, I wish I could do nothing but happy videos all the time. It's easier for me. It's funner for me. It's just the channel. It's the if you don't deliver good videos every once in a while, like every third video's got to be really good for YouTube, they quit recommending you. And sometimes it takes you months to get out of that cycle, like get back up. I'm in the middle of that right now. I'm in what we call YouTube hell right now. So when you're watching a video, make sure you always like, comment, and watch as much of it as you can. Actually, I said YouTube hell. It's YouTube purgatory. YouTube purgatory. There you go. Yeah, I don't know about that. Colorado Springs was getting really, really popular, and that's starting to slow. I mean, it still is. People are still moving there, but it was like this. Now it's kind of like this. Still growing, but I think it's slowed a little bit. Well, thanks, Kathy. If you guys are bored, watch this video for me. Not right now. When we're done. That's the one I did with American Cities. It's kind of like a tour of all of them. I really liked it. Really want to make more of those. Just got to get more views. I think the other problem is people are used to a certain type of video from me, and usually a lot of people like my negative videos. So if I try anything new like that one where it's just a tour of the cities, people are like, "What is this? How come Briggs not making fun of his cousin's ex-wife?" You mentioned different restaurants earlier. What's a particular type you want to see more of near you, or Southeast Asia? Maybe Southeast Asia. More taco places. I mean, I like a good taco place. I like to go. I said this recently. Um, any town named Briggs. There you go. I said this recently, but if I go into a little hole in the wall Mexican food place, the grandparents are working behind the counter or making the food, and it's only the grandkids could speak English. I know it's going to be good Mexican food. The grandparents and the family haven't, transitioned to Americanized food if that's the case. That's just I'm not being racist with that. I've just noticed that's usually a winner. You don't need to get mad. I have another one coming up on the national parks. I'm looking forward to that one. I don't know. I'd have to look. Yeah, that's how it is growing up in Southern California too. We have a lot of really good Mexican food places, and so you go someplace. Oh, this great Mexican food. And you go there, and I went and served this to my dog. I've actually been to places in in Washington. A friend told me, "Oh, it's great Mexican food. Great Mexican food." I go there, and I'm like, they bought all this food at the grocery store and put it together for us. I don't think I have. I'm not r Here's a weird thing about me. I know very few counties. I know the cities and other states. I don't really pay attention to the counties when I'm there. It's just never really been on my radar. San Antonio has great Mexican food. The best Mexican food I've ever had is in Laredo, though. All right, guys. I'm gonna wind this down. Next week, I might be able to do this. I might be doing it from a cruise ship, so be prepared for that. We'll see if I get a good connection. Who knows, though? Thanks for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys spending your time with me and watching my videos. If you get a chance, please watch some of my videos. And another thing I like to tell everyone, when you're watching a video, if you have time, when they suggest those at the end, that click on one of them and watch it. That'd be great. Help me get out of YouTube purgatory. All right, everyone. I appreciate your time. You have a great night. Be safe this weekend. I'll see you soon.